Welcome back, my dear students. So let's get really excited because what we got right now is we need to convert this into a real link and make some routes and a view, some views, so that we can actually play around with the database, which is the exciting part, right? We need to put data inside our application, play around with the data, and have fun. So hopefully some of you were able to complete my little challenge. I know, I didn't tell you it was a challenge, but it was. So let's just kill all this stuff. All right. Wow, we have a lot of files here, right? This application is getting big by the minute, right? This is nothing yet. We're going to have a lot more fun. So let's go to layouts, admin. And actually, I always forget we don't have it in layouts anymore. We have it in the admin site site nav, and we have this components li that is a drop down. It's a drop down because we have some attributes here that will help us make it, with Bootstrap. So let's change this to say components, posts, and instead of saying collapse components, I'm gonna call this collapse posts. I'm gonna copy this whole thing and just paste it in here in this ID. There we go. So it doesn't complain. This would be all posts like that, and this would be create posts. We're gonna change the links, of course, to say something like admin posts, right? And this would be admin posts create, like that. Now we need to build those routes and the views, of course, but let's play around with the routes first. So let's go to a routes folder. We have admin here. We need to create another directory that I want to create, because inside admin we're going to have all the routes. So we could do this in two ways. We could, if we wanted to make all the directories like I mentioned, or we can just create the files. I'm just going to create the files just not to make this too complicated. So it's going to be a JavaScript file, so we're going to name this posts, just like that word, plural. Okay, posts.js. Okay, and it's going to be very similar to this. I'm just going to copy that, paste it in there. I can even copy the module. If I wanted to be lazy, I do that, right? Simple as that. Okay, very, very, very similar to what we have. Okay, and let's go ahead and create. Let's not be so lazy. Let's just write this down. Router.get. Remember that this is going to be the admin post by default, because we're going to set that up in the inside the app.js. Okay, so I'm just going to make it root, but it's going to be admin posts. Well, whatever we want it to be in reality. It's going to have the request and the response as always. And we're just going to say, well, this route, we're going to send the response, and we're going to say it works. Okay, because we're going to take a couple more minutes to make sure that the post looks good later on. But we just want to make sure that it works. So let's go, now that we created this inside the routes folder, we created this routes file with everything that we need to make sure it works. So we need to include it here. Require, right? You see, this starts to get easier now. And now we're going to call this variable post. It's constant, like that. And inside admin, inside routes, we have, hold on, admin, and then we have, inside there, we have what's called posts, like this, posts, okay? And now we just need one of these, and like that, and like that. Look at that. See how easy that is? It starts to make sense now, right guys? Now, for those of you that come from PHP, this is gonna look like a mess of code. But believe me, just make things easier. It's pretty awesome once you get the hang of it, okay? You're gonna love JavaScript later on. Right now, some of you probably don't like it much, but just because PHP has a, you know, especially with frameworks like Laravel and things like that, have things a little bit more organized. But in here, we have to do things by ourselves. So let's go back here, and if we now the next thing is that we need to make sure that route works. Okay, so admin post enter, and you see it says it work instead of it works, but we know that it's working. Okay, so on the next lecture, we're going to continue with the next part where we make that view look good. Thank you so much, guys. It's been a pleasure, and I'll see you in the next lectures. Take care. Welcome back, my dear students. So I have decided to make our admin, and I want you to make that change as well, just the index instead of the dashboard, because we had a dashboard and then we had the index route for just demonstration purposes only, right? So remember that we had a views inside admin, we had another view called dashboard. Delete that, go to the index route right here and delete that route for the admin that we had right here. Okay, and just leave this link alone here like this. I mean this code, and go to your admin side nav or side navigation, and you know, make it so it goes to /admin instead of /admin dashboard. Okay, so that's all the change I made because I wanted to just have the dashboard. Oops, did I make that change? Well, let's go back and make sure that application is running. It's not running. Let's make sure it's running. Sometimes you get that error there. You just got to make sure your thing is running. Okay, we don't have that route anymore. I don't. Okay, now my dashboard goes to admin by itself. Okay, we're serving just that index. Okay, so we are about to start creating posts. Okay, and we want to do basically the CRUD, create, read, update, and delete with MongoDB. Now we could, if we wanted to, use MySQL or any other database out there. But when you are creating applications using Node.js, you know, in frameworks like Angular and so on, you are actually, you want to deal with MongoDB. MongoDB is just faster. It's just something that it goes well together with Node, okay, with JavaScript, right? So let's start doing that. What I want to do is I want to start creating the views for create, update, delete, all that stuff. And then we're going to start working with a database. But before we get to all that stuff, why don't we connect to a database? And you guys learned how to do that in a couple of lectures before, right? In the beginning of the course where I show you about the database, right? Go to that database section if you don't remember. And make sure you should have an instance of MongoDB installed in your computer, okay? So if we go to another tab here in the terminal, if you're using Git or command prompt, whatever, if you type in MongoDB, you should be able to get your database working, okay? Just like, well, mine was already on, but if I type Mongo, I should be in the Mongo shell, and I say show DBS, and I should see all my databases there, okay? Databases that I got. So Control C, I'm gonna get out of there. And remember, you can do this in your terminal, okay? So let's go ahead and create a database for this project. I'm gonna do, let's go here somewhere, and where can we put this database? I like to have my database on top, to be honest with you, like right here on top somewhere. And I'm going to be using Mongoose for this, okay? Remember that Mongoose is this ODM, okay? Object document mapper, okay? Because we want to be able to have methods that are going to allow us to save data to the database and delete it, you know, do the crop basically, and just this ODM or Mongoose makes it very, very easy for us to do that. So it just helps us manage our data in object, you know, basically with objects format. So we don't have Mongoose. If you go to package.json, we need to install that. So let's go ahead and do that. npm install Mongoose. Okay, mon, this is how you spell it right here. Okay, now let's go to app.js and let's create some type of connection here. So we're gonna use, let's first include Mongoose here. Mongoose required. There we go. Simple as that. That's it. Okay, now we have a Mongoose there required. Now let's start creating stuff with it. So we want to connect. Okay, and remember that the protocol for the MongoDB is not the same as the other databases. We have a different protocol. It's called MongoDB. Okay, instead of HTTP, it's MongoDB : / localhost. Okay, now you can also type in 127.0.0.1. Some people have issues with localhost, so you might want to put just the IP of that local server. Okay, and now we could say, well, the default port. Okay, sometimes this will work like this, and you can just put the database. And as a matter of fact, mine probably will work like this, but I'm just gonna type it like this just to make it more, just to make it better. So this is the default port for MongoDB. And now we want to connect to a database called CMS. Well, remember that we don't have a database. We are assuming that we will have a database called CMS. And the moment that we create some type of data, Mongoose will help us create that database called CMS. Once we insert data, it will help us create a CMS database. Okay. And one thing that we need to do here, we need to pass another parameter with a key and value called use Mongo client. Make it true. Okay. If you don't do that, it's going to give us some type of error. Okay. Now I'm going to follow this by a then. We're going to use promises. Okay. If you don't know about promises, I have a course, a free course called ES6, where I show you about promises. Okay. So this is basically, instead of using like a callback function saying, hey, listen, we got the data and we got an error back, instead of using like some function here, you know, let's say not here, but let's say here or something, like using a callback function like this, and we say error or and data or something like that. Instead of using that, we use promises. It's a lot easier to handle and better to read, and it's just better. So we're gonna say then, and of course we have the DB here, and we get something back. So when we say then this does not get executed until we use then. Then is like execute. That's what that means. Execute something, and we're gonna get something back only if we are able to connect. If we're not able to connect, then we need to catch that error somewhere. Okay, so Mongo connected. Now we can attach a catch here, and we can say error, and then we can just say console.log error. Okay, now you might see me doing stuff like this. Sometimes we don't need to actually, if we don't have any other parameters, we don't need to, we can just do stuff like that. Okay, it's just easier syntax, guys. So then let's do nomon app tab, and it says Mongo connected. So Mongo is connected. Now if I make some type of mistake here and I do that, now we get that error, right? And we can say, so you know that that's the error, we can say testing error or something like that, or we could say could not connect, something like that. Let's see how that works. Let's see if you can see my could not connect. You see it right here, right? So you know that it's working. Okay, pretty cool stuff. And then we get that error, but let's go ahead and fix that. Let's port number is 27017, and now we should get Mongo connected. Perfect. So our database connection is working. We are, and remember guys, make sure your MongoDB is running by doing MongoD and then Mongo if you want to just log into the shell and play around with it. But let's start this on the next lecture, and let's start creating some of the views and try to see if we can get some data inside the database so we can start reading, updating, and deleting. Okay, thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next lecture. Welcome back, my dear students. So wake up, let's do this. We're gonna start creating posts, but not so fast yet. We still need to create the views. So let's start creating the views for our post pages. Okay, so we need to start with I want to start with creating data. Okay, so we need to start with this guy right here, create. All right, so let's go to views, let's go to admin, and inside admin, what we want to do is we want to create another directory, because what we want to do, we want to keep things separate. Whatever is in admin is going to stay in admin. So we're going to have posts, categories, comments, whatever. They're going to be inside the admin, but I want to make sure that they are in their own entity, in their own basically component, in a type of way. All right, everything separated and nice. So let's go and create a post directory, and inside here we're going to create a index for post. Okay, so make sure that you create some type of index, and you can name this whatever you want. Okay, I'm just going to name it index. I name every homepage index if there are the homepage for their own directory. So we have that view here. Let's go ahead and start creating it. This is just gonna take a little bit. Okay, so let's make sure that we are, oops guys, I'm sorry about that. It's supposed to be index handlebars. Forgot handlebars. If you are using a template like EJS, then you use EJS. That's why probably I did that way. I'm used to using EJS as another templating engine besides Jade and handlebars. There are a couple, guys. There are a couple you can use. Handlebars. There we go. All right. So now let's make sure that this is working. I'm just going to put a H1 tag, and I'm going to say create post here. We're going to start creating things from scratch, guys. I know that I just want you guys to get kind of used to writing the code. It's better. But remember, we have these reference files in the course, so you might want to download it if you want, but write things down. Okay, so we want to create a form like this, and we're going to be submitting data to, let's say, a route that we're going to create. We don't have that yet. Let's go admin posts, create, like that. Okay, it's gonna be the method of post, and let's make sure that it has an end type of multi. This is just to upload files later on. Okay, multipart / form data, and then, as a matter of fact, let me look it up in my computer. And no, I think I remember. Let's just do it like this. We're gonna test this, okay? Because I want to just create one real quick and test it out. So form group, and we're gonna have a label, and this title here like this. This is gonna be the title of our post. Let's just go ahead and create some type of button down here, and we're gonna create a type. It's gonna be submit, and we're gonna call it submit like this. I just want to see how that looks real quick, okay? Before we do anything. So let's go to routes. Let's go to admin and let's go to posts. Let's create a route for that. I'm gonna copy and paste that there. And I believe we call that admin post create, right? So when we hit that route, when we hit this, we're gonna render a view. And this view is gonna be in admin /posts/create. I'm gonna like that. And as a matter of fact, we got this in the wrong part. Let's just create another file here. I'm gonna call this create like that, and I'm gonna take whatever's in index from there and right here. I think that makes more sense, right? In the index we should just show all the posts. I'm just gonna put an H1 there and say all posts like that. Let's see if it works, but let's make a link in the admin side nav where we have all posts. Well, the link is already created for us, right? So let's refresh and then create posts and admin posts create. That link is not working for some reason. Admin posts create. Let's go back to posts. Oh, you know what? One thing to keep in mind here, guys. You don't need to write the whole path here because we are doing it right here, remember? So automatically, that should be done for us. All we need to do is do this guy here, /create. Now let's go and refresh. And now that should be there. What I see is that, of course, we don't have the input or anything like that. We just have a little data there. So let's go back and fix it. I just wanted to see if that works. You know, make it work actually. Let's go to that create view right here. And let's start playing around with the input, okay? So input, and guys, again, you can go ahead and download this if you want. I suggest you just write it down with me. For those of you that don't know Bootstrap, control, we're using Bootstrap Classic, guys. Okay, that's what we're doing here. This form control is a Bootstrap class. It's just gonna create things automatically for us. It's gonna style it. Okay, we're gonna put a placeholder here. I'm gonna call this enter title, and let's just put, I like to put the name attribute here just because I want you guys to see that first. Okay, so that's pretty cool. What else we need? Let's go back and see how that looks. I'm gonna refresh, and now that looks like that. We can make that smaller if we wanted to. Okay, another thing that I want to do is start creating let's just copy this and paste it here. Now it's a lot easier, right? This input is going to be a select because we want to make our options for public, private, or draft for posts, okay? So this is just going to be the status, and like this, the status, and we're going to give it a class of form control. Beautiful. And we're just going to give a couple options. Welcome back, my dear students. So it's time for us to start creating, actually to finish our create post form. So what else do we need? We have the title of the post. We have a status that we need to do this in the database, and of course submit this data. And then we have we want to either allow comments or not allow comments, and maybe have a description. Let's go ahead and start playing with that. So let's create another div form group here, and let's call this allow comments like this. Okay, we might change the name later on, right? And this is gonna be a checkbox. I'm gonna show you how to do that. It's gonna be pretty cool, guys. Pretty cool. Checkbox. And actually, let's just take this out. We're just gonna have it here, checkbox. And here will be allow comments like this. Let's make this camel case. Allow comments. Keep that convention there. And of course, this doesn't have a placeholder. Okay, like that. And then we can actually wrap the whole thing around in a label like this, and maybe say check or something like that. Let's just do this real quick. Let's see if this looks better like this. We wrap it around. Okay, refresh, and yep, that works. There is a class that we can use called form check in Bootstrap 4. We're gonna use that. I believe, I don't know if that was available in Bootstrap 3, I don't remember. And let's give this another class here, if I remember correctly. Instead of for control, we can just name this form check input. I think that should do it. Let's see if that makes it look better. Refresh. All right, that's just gonna, that makes this here, but I'm getting out of my bots there for a minute. We can fix this later on. There's no rush into that. Let me put this here and let's see if that fixes it. I like to leave that touch for later, usually. No, I was doing it right. Let's go back. Let's leave it like that. Okay. Form check input, this is good. And that's good. If anything, we just fix it later on with a some type of CSS. Okay, so no biggie right now. You just put a little CSS, a little padding here or something, and that should do the trick. Okay, we just inspect it real quick and see if we can do the trick with that. I think we can wrap that around some type of another class, okay, like input group or something like that, and fix that. But we're not going to do that right now. Okay, let's focus on what we're doing here, which is trying to get this to work. And I want to create a form group now, and this one is going to be for a description, or should I say body, because that's going to be the body of our post. I'm just gonna name it body here. let's keep it uniform. Okay, let's just name it body as well here. Everything body, so that way we don't confuse ourselves. And you know what? This is gonna be a text area. So let's just delete this text area. Make sure that you finish that there, okay? And for control should be okay for that. Let's see how that looks. Refresh. So that looks like that. We can make this a little bigger if we want to. Let's we don't need this here. And make this body. We don't even need a placeholder, but we can keep it there. Let's see how that looks here. Enter description. Okay. And let's make this a little bigger by doing calls 30 and rows. Let's give it 10 rows. Okay. Refresh, and now that looks a little bigger. It's looking a lot better. Let's make this button look better by giving it a class of btn and then btn primary. That should be good. Let's see. Refresh. Okay, that looks a lot better. Okay. Perfect. Our form is taking form now. Now the next thing is to make sure that this is submitting some type of good data. Let me see. Right now, if we try to submit data, this is not working. Okay. Try to figure that out, why that's not working. And on the next lecture, I'll show you, and hopefully we can submit some data. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next lecture. Welcome back, my dear students. I hope you guys are having fun, and I hope you are really awake, okay? Don't fall asleep. Remember what you're doing this for, right? This might look a little long right now or slow, but when you're done with this project, you're gonna be a professional, okay? And you're gonna make a lot more than what you're making right now. If you don't have a job, you should be able to get one, okay? It's just a matter of finding somebody that will hire your skills. Okay, so let's get to it. Let's go to the project, and this is where we are right now. For some reason, we cannot post data to this route here. Let's find out why. And I'm pretty sure that some of you guys figured this out already, right? All right. So remember that when we submit data, we need to go to our routes first. So let's go to admin and post, right? Well, remember that this is submit and post data. We don't have a route to catch post data. Our routes are catching get data. Okay, so if we go and do this and we change the get to post, now that should work, right? Let's just change this to send, and we're gonna say worked here. Let's see if this works. I don't remember what I put in the form. I'm just gonna go back here, refresh, and submit. Oh, there we go. It's working. See that? Perfect. So now that our form is working, now it's time for us to start playing around with submitting some data, guys. So let's do that. Let's start playing around here. So we want to connect to the database, but before we do that, we need to start thinking about our schema, our database schema. We are connected to the database already, but we need to connect to the database in a way that we can insert data. Right now we are connected, right? But we need a way to have like methods that can help us insert data. And Mongoose is doing that for us already. We just have to create what's called a model. And we have a model directory here, okay? So let's start creating our models for a post, and let's play around with data, okay? So I'm going to create a JavaScript file called post with capital P, okay, .js. And this is how Mongoose is going to help us, okay, with doing our data in that object, inserting our data or manipulating our data in with objects format. So what I want to do here is first of all, I want to include Mongoose because that's what we're going to be using. So Mongoose, there you go. And now Mongoose has different methods that we can use. Okay. But first, let's create a variable here to hold our schema. Mongoose has this nice object that we can use, or a methods. It's called mongoose.schema with a capital S, schema. There we go. Now we have the schema here. Now we need another variable, or constant should I say, to hold our schema. I'm going to call this post with a capital P, capital S. We're dividing each word by a uppercase. It's just convention. And I'm going to create a new instance of this new schema that I have on top there. See that? But inside here, the parameter is going to be an object. See that? And now we start defining our schema here. So you see what I did? I included Mongoose because that's what we're going to be using. We take out this from Mongoose, okay? We save it in this variable, okay? And now we create a new instance, right, with a parameter as an object parameter inside. But then we call this, we don't have to do that. We could do it like this, or we can go to our app.js and play around with it like this. But we are going to be using this later on. So we're going to be using this whole thing, exporting it out. So we need to have some type of reference. So our post is going to have different data inside. And we know that it's going to have a user. So I'm going to create this object inside. And this is not something that I'm making up. This is how it's done. So we're going to have different objects that are going to define our data inside this object, this huge object. So first is we start with the type, okay? But before we get to user, and this is something that I will explain to you right now, I want to show you how you create data, simple data, because I'm going to create a different data here, and I'll need to explain that. This data has to do with relationships. So I'm not going to explain that right this instant. What I want to do is I want to create a simple type of data here first. So we defined another object here, and the first thing is we need to tell it the type. So the type is going to be a string. That's going to be our title. It's going to be type string. So only type string or strings can go into this title, okay, in our schema database. Okay, in our data schema. And now we can also do authentication here. We get this error if we don't insert a title when we are inserting data to the database. So right now we have authentication here with Mongoose, which I like pretty much. So we have the types with Mongoose, and then we have authentication. There's a lot of documentation about Mongoose and all the authentication that you can do here, but you can do a lot more than what I'm showing you here. This is just something that we need for now. Later on, I'll show you a different one. Okay, now we need to do basically the same thing for the rest of the fields. The next one is going to be I think it's the status. Let's go back, and I like to follow a order. So I'm going to go to views, admin, post, and create. We have the title, we have a status, allow comments. Okay. Let's go back to the model. Status, the next one. Then we have allow comments. So status is going to be a string as well. And let me show you this. We could create a default here, and default is going to be public, like this. Now let's go to allow comments. Okay, and the type here is going to be a Boolean, like this, right? And let's make it so that it is required. what else we have? We have a body, right? After, let's double check it. So title, status, allow comments, and body. Title, status, allow comments, and body. There we go. Body is going to be very similar. So status, well, body is, yep, actually we need this require, and it's not require, it's true actually, sorry about that. I just noticed that I repeated that word. There we go. All right, let's double check this. Now, on the next lecture, I will explain to you about the user, okay? It's because we are going to talk about relationships in a minute. And just a little bit here, so that way you know how this works. Now, the last field here, we don't need to put a comma because we don't have anything else following it. Just making sure that this requires all good. The string is starting with a uppercase, the first letter of the type value, uppercase. All right. So on the next lecture, I'm going to explain to you a little bit about relationships. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the next lecture. Welcome back, my dear students. So on the last lecture, we were almost done with this schema. There's one more thing that we need to do, and I'm gonna do that before I get into explaining about this relationship. Now, I'm gonna dedicate a couple lectures explaining about relationships, but we're not gonna get into that right now. I'm just gonna explain a little bit about relationships, okay? But before we do that, let's actually export this guy out. We wanna do module. Actually, let me show you. First of all, once we're done with the definition, we need to call another method here called model, like this. And then we need to tell it, listen, this is going to be the name for my model. And I'm going to pass in that schema that we just created on top, like this. Now, you can name this however you want. You can name this and post like this. Now, remember, even if you name it like this, behind the scenes, Mongoose is going to convert this into a plural way, which is going to be this. Okay? So if you want to just name it this, that's okay, because that's going to be the name of your document inside your database. Okay? Now we can go ahead and export this so we can use it later on. Exports like that. And we can just pull this and use it. So here's the little explanation I wanted to give you about relationships. So there are two main ways that we can relate data using MongoDB. Either we insert an object, and when I say object, I mean a document. All right, so every time I say object is document. Okay, let's just call it document. But remember that each document has data that is in a object type way. Okay, so data is going to be in this object format. So the two main ways is this: either we insert the one document inside another document, and I mean, okay, you're going to see this data like this in your database. We either do this, insert the whole document in there, or we just insert, for example, the IDs of that other document, and then we just, each of these IDs is just going to have a reference to a model outside. Okay, so for example, this is just going to be, this ID belongs to one user. This other ID belongs to another user. This ID belongs to another user. This is a better approach because you don't want your data to get filled with, more documents and more documents inside. Imagine you have a post document and that post has a whole bunch of other documents inside. And those documents will have other fields inside. That would be very messy. So what we want to do is we want to reference the ID of that table or that document here, okay, like this. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing later on. But I'm not going to be dealing with this until we get to the login and registration, or maybe we'll get to the categories or something else before we get to that. but just know that we can, the takeaway from this lecture is this: we either insert documents inside another documents, or we insert the IDs of other documents and then reference them. That's it. Anyway, so we are done creating our post model. We are done even exporting it out, and we're almost ready to start using our model to insert data, to manipulate data inside our database. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the next lectures. Welcome back, my dear students. So we have our form here. On the last lecture, we finished our models and all that, but it's time for us to start creating some data, okay? So the first thing that we are going to do is go to routes posts, right? And we know that this is working because we checked it, right? We know it's sending, it's working. And we need to start making sure that we send data to our database. We have the variables. Let's open that up. We have the name attributes, and these name attributes are going to send that data. Whatever we type in the form is going to send it as, for example, as some type of property or variable in our server called title. We're going to get that as a title. We're going to get this as a status, and we're going to get this as allow comments, right, in our server. That's what's going to happen. But when we go to our server here, we have no way of receiving that data. That data is supposed to come, we're supposed to parse that data. We receive the data, but we have no way of parsing it. Okay, out of the box, Node.js doesn't offer that ability. So we need to have some type of module to help us with that. And the module that is going to help us parse the post data is called the body parser. So we need to go to app.js, and well, as a matter of fact, I'm receiving a error here, a promise, and I'll tell you in a minute what that is. I'm going to actually resolve that real quick. This is because we're using promises here, okay? And out of the box, you know, Mongoose is not, it doesn't have promises. They did have it before, but right now we are telling it to use the Mongo client promises. So the default promises for ES6. So we need to say, Mongoose, I want you to use the global promise that ES6 offers us, okay? So this global object has the default promise library there, and we are assigning that to the Mongoose promise. So that way we don't have this error anymore. See that? So it says plug in your own promise library. That's what it's saying there. You can read more about why, or you know, why we're doing this, because they decided not to include the promises anymore. I don't know, maybe later on they will in their, back in the day it wasn't like this, but now we have to do that. We have to use our own promises library, okay? But anyway, so we got that out of the way. Let's go back to post. Here there's no way of, you know, parsing that data, so we need a way to do it. So we need to download a package. I'm gonna Control C to terminate my server, and I'm gonna do npm install body-parser. Okay, and inside the app.js we are going to require this const body. That's what we're going to call it. We call it whatever we want, but when we require it, we have to give it the exact name of the package. It's called body parser, like this. Now we need to, let's see where I can put this. Before we load the routes, I'm gonna do it right here, body parser. And we're going to make sure that our application uses it by doing app use. And this document, this is actually in the documentation, okay, and body parser. So when you see that package, you can look it up. But This is how we do it. Body parser dot URL encoded, and inside this function we include this object, and in this object we have to tell it what how we want the URL, okay, how is it going to be. So extend it, and we're going to say it's true. That use, this is something that it is in the documentation, guys. We want this to be able to parse JSON data as well, so make sure that we have parsing the JSON, pass the JSON there, and this should work now. So now in our post route, okay, in post.js right here, we can do a console right here like this, console dot, and we can get the data from the form like this. One thing that I want to do in the create, we're not going to be using files right now, so I'm just going to take that off for now. That's just going to interfere with me showing you something. So Nullmon, let's turn on our server and let's see if we get some type of data. There we go. Submit. Let's come back here, and you can see that those fields are coming in like that. All right, so there you have it, guys. We included a module to parse post data or data coming from form, and we are telling our application to use it right here by passing in this in a middleware. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next lecture where we are finally going to try to make this work and insert some data into the database, and at the same time creating our database. Thank you so much, guys. This is getting really fun. See you in the next one. Welcome back, my dear students. So I'm inside my routes, my post routes, and we were able to get the body of a form to console log, we were able to log it into our console, right? So we are able to get this object with all the data from the form. Great stuff. But now we need to start inputting data into our database and at the same time creating it. We have created a model, a schema, right, with all the data that we want. We can only send string data to the title. If not, our database or code is going to start screaming and yelling at us. Status has to be a string. Allow comments has to be a Boolean. It's required by default. We got the authentication there. The body has to be a string, and it's also required. If we don't, then our database, our data inputs are not going to work. We're not going to be able to put data into that if we don't send it exactly what we have here. Okay, and we are of course exporting this out. So let's go to our post routes, and that's routes, admin, and then posts. Here, what we're going to do is we're going to bring in the post. This is how we're going to bring it. That schema, we are going to go one directory, and we're going to go up another directory to models, and then we're going to bring that up here. And of course, make sure this is a equal symbol. So now we have this post here, and all we have to do is use it. We have to start using it. Okay? So we have it right here like this. And now inside here is going to take a object. This object has to be based on the schema that we created. So we have to have inside that object something exactly this, 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 and this. Okay? So I can say title. What is our title going to be? Well, whatever comes from the body of the request, and which is a variable named title, which we have right here. That's where we have that value of that input, right? Great. So see how easy this is? Very easy. Now we have to do the same thing for all of them, right? We have to follow this. We have status, allow comment, and body. So status, and we're going to get that body, status, allow comments, and what is it, body. And this is body, like this. Okay, so it looks like we are good. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that allow comments is a checkbox. So automatically when you click on a checkbox, you're going to get a off and on string coming from the form. And we are telling our schema here that it should accept only a Boolean, true or false. Okay, so we need to do a little bit of modification. Let me show you what I mean, guys. You probably don't know what I mean. Let me show you. Body dot allow comments. Okay, I'm gonna log this so that way you can see it here. Let's go to the form. I thought I had a form there. I guess it's behind here somewhere. There we go. All right. So I'm gonna refresh this. I'm gonna click on this and I'm gonna submit this, and I'm gonna go to my code, which is again behind here. And you can see that it says on here, right? And if I don't check it, it's gonna submit a off request. Okay. Let's go to create. Oops. Submit. And now you can see, well, it's undefined now, but you can see basically what I mean, right? So we can't have that, so we have to build this type of functionality to prevent that on and off type of thing. Okay, so let's initialize some type of variable here saying called allow comments. Okay, and I'm gonna set this to true by default. Okay, but I'm gonna create some type of condition here just to change that a little bit. So if the body allow comments is available, okay, then we are going to make sure that this is true. Else, we're going to allow comments to be false. Okay, so that way we don't have any issues with our database, guys. With our database model or Mongoose model. Okay, perfect. So let's finish this up on the next lecture, where we are going to be actually start using this configuration here to start inserting data. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you on the next lecture. Welcome back, my dear students. I hope you guys are having a really good day today. For those of you that are coming from 2 to 3 days rest, good job coming back to the course. For those of you that are just continuing doing it, good job, very good job, because this can get tiresome after a while, but don't worry, it will pay off. So we are converting, where we left off last time is that we are converting the on and off string that we get from a checkbox into Boolean values right here. So we're initializing it and we're converting it right here to either true or false. And then instead of passing that from the variable there, passing the value from the form, we're just gonna pass it from here. Okay, simple as that. Now it's time for us to start testing this to see if it works, because we don't know anything yet, right? In order for us to use this, and we can, I'm gonna create a variable, new post, like this, and this new post now has methods added by Mongoose that we can use. For example, it has the save method, and it's gonna have all the methods to remove, to edit, all that stuff, but we're gonna be using this one here. So now it's not gonna save automatically. Once we do this, we need to attach some type of promise or callback. Then we're gonna get the saved post in here so we can use it if we wanted to. So I'm gonna use the new syntax fat arrow function there to do something after the post is saved. So remember, we're getting this promise promise is then do this, and then we get something. If it works, we get something back, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna redirect, and I think we want to send them to where all the posts are located, right? Admin posts, just like that. We could, if we wanted to, we actually don't need to do this, to be honest with you. I think once you save the post, we don't need to do this, but you could, if we wanted to see console log this and see what, just for our own purpose. Well, let's just test this out first, and then we console log, and so you can see what we get after. Okay, so let's see if this works. I haven't tested this. We wrote a lot of data. Keep in mind that if this doesn't work, we could attach some type of catch here and console the error. Oops. Since we don't have any other parameters there, I'm just gonna use this syntax console log. Could not say post. There we go. Let's test this out. We wrote a lot of data. We don't know if it works. All right. Okay. First post. Allow comments. It's going to be public. Let's make it private. Hello. It worked. Okay. Looks like everything went good, I think. We got redirected. Hi guys, this is Edwin from the future. I just wanted to give you a heads up on something that I did in this course, well, in this lecture, that I did not mention. Now, this functionality here that I just created for you and you will be seeing this later on, maybe in other tutorials or the documentation, you will see this new keyword. I want you guys to use it. I didn't include it in this lecture, and you might be seeing me including this later on, but you will be seeing this in the documentation. So make sure that you do. Now, without this keyword, this does exactly the same thing. You can come down here and you can use the new post, newly create instance and assign a new value to it. Okay. You will still be able to use this as the same as using the new keyword, but I want you guys to get into the habit of using this new keyword here. Okay, we're signifying that we are working with a constructor. Basically, this is working like a class behind the scenes. If you guys know a little bit about object programming, and you should, we have this model that has definitions with properties and pre-built methods from Mongoose, and basically we're using that new instance, okay, that we have right here. That's what we're doing. And the new keyword is signifying that we don't really need it in this case, but we are going to be using it. So if you're not using it, make sure you do. And if you see me not including it, go ahead and include it yourself. Okay? Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the following minutes, seconds, or I'll see you in the next lecture. Guys, take care. Now, how can we see that data? Well, let's go to our Mongo shell. I'm going to open another console. I'm going to say Mongo. I'm going to go to that shell. I'm going to say use CMS1. And this is what we named the database, right? Let's go back here to app.js. Let's look at that database name. Okay, it's called CMS. Enter. And now we can say show collections. Enter, and we can see a collection right here. We can also say show tables. Okay, so now let's check to see if that collection has any type of data in there. Okay, so we're gonna say db.post.find parentheses. Oops, we need to say db.post plural. Enter, and now we can see that we have something here. We have this object ID, the title, Right here, allow comments is true, body, hello, status, private. Good, we got the data in there. If you weren't able to make it work, guys, check your code and reference it with my code, or keep trying again. The more you try, the better you're gonna get at it, okay? At it. Now, look at this object ID here. This is created automatically by Mongoose, okay? So we got this object ID, which is not a string, guys. This is, as you can see, this is more than a string. This is referring to this object, okay? And every ID is going to be different, okay? And you can refer to this object ID by doing underscore ID. You're going to see me doing that later, okay? But it worked. The first time it worked. Good job. Now let's go back to our routes and let's console log when we save something so you can see the data we get back. Okay, let's come back here. I always get confused. I think I always have it in another screen and I had it behind me. Okay, so I'm just gonna refresh this here and I'm gonna say second post. Enter. I wish things would go that smoothly all the time, right? And as you can see, we get the saved object back to us, the new one, okay? Because if you remember 09C1, we didn't get that before. Let me see if I can find the other one. Oh, no, I don't have it in this. Oh, right here. See, this is a different one. Okay, so we got data, guys. We are saving data. Perfect. So now we have the CRUD almost finished. Let me see what else do we need. We got the body, we got the allow comments true, the selected, we have it, it's working. So we don't have much to do here. Maybe later on we'll add some images, you know, how to upload images, but that's gonna be a different section. I want to show you the CRUD first, then we start adding different features to our application. Good job, guys, if you were able to do it. If you had a problem, post it in the discussion, talk to me, email me, try to find me, but do it after you spend a couple hours trying to fix it on your own. So that way you can learn more about coding, guys. Keep it up. You're doing a great job, guys. Shake it off. Go to the next lecture. See you then. Bye-bye. Welcome back, my dear students. Are you guys ready? Let's do it. So now that we are able to create a post, we need to be able to actually see our posts. And when we go to our page here, all posts, we don't have anything there. It's not working for us. Let's go ahead and make that work. So let's go to our views, admin post. The index should be where we show everything, right? So come back here to our routes, and right here we're just sending it this. Let's render our view admin / posts. Okay, actually is posts, and I think it will work like this. I don't think we need to put indexing here. I think it will find it. So let's just try it out. Command R or Control R, and yes, it is working like that. Great. So now we have our view there, but we need to start bringing data from the database, right? Okay, great. Let's go. So let's see how we're gonna do this. Well, let's create a table first of all. Okay. And then when we create a table, we're gonna be filling it up with some cells. So let's see. Let's first give our table class, a bootstrap class of table, and then let's just do table border. That's okay. That should be good. Let's make sure we have a T head and a TR, table road. And inside this table road, we have TH. This is going to be the table headings. We want to get the idea of the post. Let's see what we want. We want the title. Okay. What else do we have? The status. comments. Allow comments. And the body, right? But we're not gonna show the body. We might show just a little bit of the body. Let's not show the body. Okay. ID, title, status, allow comments. Okay, so we got 4 of those. Now after the T head we have a T body, and that one has a row as well. And inside here we have some table cells, and this is where we're gonna bring our data. Okay, so with handlebars we bring the variables with curly brackets, of course. So the first is gonna be the ID, right? So we do curly brackets, and in between that we bring the ID. Okay, but before we do that, let me show you. Let me just put 4 of these here. This would be the ID here. This would be the title, the status. Let's just see how the form looks before we bring any data, and comments. Okay, let's just check it out real quick. Refresh, and this is how it's gonna look. Okay, so it's looking okay. So how are we gonna bring that data? Well, we got the form. It's time for us to jump into the routes and start bringing the data. Okay, and we're gonna do that in the next lecture. Thank you. All right, so let's start bringing data so that way we can show it here as variables. This is why I like to use template engines, of course, because that's the way we handle data in the view. So let's go to our routes, post routes, and here where we are rendering our posts, well, rendering that view. Before that, we need to pull that data from the database before we get to this point here. And then here in this render function, we can pass in the variable, the posts. Okay? So first we need to query the database. And so how are we going to query it? Well, we are making a query here, right? So now we use the same thing. We use posts, and we have a post available because we are requiring this, okay, from here. So let's bring that up. There we go. And now we just use it. We use a find method, and now we're just not going to pass any parameters here, right? Because we're not going to do anything. If we wanted to do something else in here, like find, and we want to find something in there, we just make that query there, but we're not going to find anything. We want everything. So when you're passing nothing here, it's just going to bring everything back to us. So once I do that, I just can attach a then promise here, and now we can bring all the posts down like that. Okay, and inside here I can just do the render. Okay, and as a second parameter, I create another object with a key named post and the value that I'm bringing back. Let me just put a comma here. See, this value is the one that's here, and this one I'm just creating it on the fly. I can name this whatever I want, but I wanted to keep it uniform. I wanted to keep it the same. Okay, so this should be working. If it doesn't work, then we can do a catch and either tell, we can do another method here and say, okay, if it doesn't work, what are you going to tell the user, or what are you going to tell the administrator, okay, of the application? So I'm gonna tighten this up a little bit. I'm just doing it. I make a lot of lines here just to show you guys exactly what I'm doing. Okay, so now we should be able to see something there. Let's go back to our index, and here what we need to do is we need to bring that data. So that data has to come back, and it's gonna be in an array. Okay, if you look here, we have posts, and this data, when we are bringing it like this, it's gonna be an array. And let's go back to index. So we want to create many different rows, right, of data. So with handlebars, you can do double curly brackets, and then we can use pound each. This is going to be like a loop. And now we just give it the name of that array that we want to loop through, and that's it. Now make sure that you end this. You need to end it at the end where you want the loop to end. I want the loop to end here. So the each in handlebars is like a for each loop in a way, okay, or like a loop. And then you end it here like this, / each. Make sure they're always going to have double curly brackets, okay? So now that we have this, inside here we have an object that we can use to pull out that information. This object is going to have an ID. I don't have to do anything specific about that. And it's going to have a title like that. And it's going to have, what is the status? And allow comments, if that's what we gave it in our model here. Okay, so we should see that data there if we did not make a mistake. And if you make a mistake, if I made a mistake, don't worry guys, we'll fix it. You know, this is all about having fun here. Refresh, and there we go. We have it. We have our data. It's working 100%. If this worked for you without any problems, guys, I want you to pat yourself in the back if you can. If you can reach in the back, just hit yourself a couple of times, and congratulations. Good job, all right? Feel really proud of yourself. We're doing good. Let's jump into the next lecture, guys, and have some more fun, all right? Take care. Good job. Welcome back, my dear students. So we are able to create posts here very easily, right? Because I was just testing this out and just write some gibberish stuff and submit, and we can see that we are able to get it. This is pretty awesome stuff. So it's working right. So now we got the create out of the way. We got the reading out of the way. We're not entirely yet. Later on, we will add stuff to this, but we're just getting that the general CRUD out of the way, right? So we got, after the read, we have update. So what I want you to do, and I already did this, is grab all the data from here, create a edit view inside the post, and just paste that in there like that. Okay, I already did mine, as you can see here, so go ahead and do yours. Copy everything from the create view, create a edit.handlebars, and paste all that code in there. Okay, now change this to edit like that. Let's go to our, let's just take that model out, post routes, and let's create another route here for our edit form, router.get, and this is just going to be edit. Simple as that. Okay, and we are going to take a request and a response. Nice. See that? Very nice. And we're just going to render right now that edit view admin. What is it? Post edit. There we go. It should work, right? Make sure you do edit here. And let's go and see if that works. Edit, and you can see now that it does work. Now what we need to do is bring our data inside these fields here. Okay, we want the body here, we want the title, and of course we want the status, and we need to do a really cool functionality with helpers to bring the status here with handlebars. Okay, pulling that information from the database and pushing it to our template engine. So let's go and work on the values here. First of all, the thing should be this. When we click anywhere here, any of these posts, if we click, let's say, the title, we want that to be a GET request. We want to send the ID to that route and pull that information from the database. So we need a way to click on this and edit it. Let's create another button. Let's go to our index, and here let's create another button here. I'm gonna call this, I'm gonna send this to admin post edit. And now this edit is going to have curly brackets, the ID right here like that. See that? Awesome. Let's make sure it has a class of btn info or something like that. Okay. And inside this link here, we should have a word that says edit. Let's go back and see how that looks. Refresh, and you can see that link here. And if I put my mouse over it, or you put your mouse over it, you can see in the bottom here that it does give me the ID of that specific post. You see that? And this is how we're going to send it to. Okay, see that? And then we need to get a route to take that, to take the edit and to take the ID. So let's go to post routes. We have the route here, well, but we need to make sure that it takes a ID as a parameter. So remember that when we do the colon here, it's like a placeholder for data. Okay. And now we have the ID here. We can show it if you want to see it. Res send. We're going to get the ID in a request params ID. And this params is something that you're always going to have to access. It's something available to us with the request. Okay. This params is going to have all the parameters in the URL that you are putting right here as a placeholder. But we have to give it the same name. If I give it number here, I have to put number here because it's picking it up from here. I can have multiple parameters as well, but you get the point, right? All right. So now if I do refresh here, we should see the ID of that specific post right here. Okay. So we know that that's working. So what we're going to be doing in the next lecture is we are going to be making a request here using Mongoose, right? Our ODM to our database, getting that with the ID and pulling that specific post out and passing it to the render function here. So that way in our edit, we can pull those values out and show it in the inputs. Okay. In the input here, show you. Oh, we're not showing it yet because we need to make sure that it comes with an ID or something. Okay. But that's what we're going to be doing in the next lecture. Thank you guys, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye. Welcome back, my dear students. So it's time for us to start updating data. We got the first part is creating our edit, right? Form, and we even have a routes already working with that. Our routes are actually needing to get an ID, and we're not giving it an ID, right? Let me see something right here. Edit, we're supposed to see the edit form. Let's come back here. And now we click here, we should see that edit form, right? And we are seeing it. Great. So now that we have that in the URL here, you see it. We need to display those values there. So let's make a query to our database to pull that specific post out. Do you guys remember how to do this? I mean, can you guys guess? Have an idea? Well, we have our post right here. Remember? Okay, we're using that post there, and we are using it. Let me see if I'm using it right here, right? So we can just copy this, and this is going to be very similar to that. But instead of saying find, we're going to say find one. And now here we're going to give it some type of, should I say, query here, right? We want to query the ID, something that looks like underscore ID colon, right? And the ID needs to be the one in the URL, which is params.id. And when you find that, then bring the post singular down, and then we are going to pass it to that render function, okay, and create this object. We're creating this object, and we are creating this key, and we are passing that value, that post that we get from this query here. We don't need this, okay? Really cool stuff. So now we can go back to the edit view, and instead of doing placeholder here, we could say value and use handlebars to pull down the title from that. Allow comments. We got to do a little work around this. I'll tell you how to do that in a minute. And we can pull down the value of that. Okay. So let's do value here too. Oops. B bind. Value. I got this wrong here. This has no value. Let's just do it here inside, and let's just do the body right here. Okay, let's go back here, refresh. Oops, refresh again, and data is not, this is not working. Okay, it's not working because we're not giving it an ID. Oh, actually we are giving it an ID. Let's go back here, edit. We're not getting anything. Let's go back. Oh, the reason why we're not getting anything is because we are sending an object here that has properties. We're not using post dot, see, dot title and post dot body. That's what we got to do. Let's check it now. Refresh. Come back here. Oh, post, edit. Still not getting anything. Huh. That's strange. Let's go back here and let's see. Post that find one, and it should give me, it looks like this function is not 100%. On result method. This capital here is a capital P. There we go, but hold on. That's weird. It's like I misspelled this one. My IDE is playing tricks on me, I guess. So underscore ID, what am I doing here? Request params ID. Sometimes things get weird like that, guys. Refresh, refresh. Let's see what my ID is telling me here. Everything looks good. I don't see why this is failing here. This is failing because I have the wrong page to render, the wrong view. See, sometimes you code for too many hours and you get confused. All right, so this is, you see here, this is working here. And this value here, let's go back here. This value for this should be working as well. Let's enter right here. Let's come back here and refresh. Oh, no, the text area, it's not, doesn't work like that. I don't think the text area has any value. I thought I made it work one time, but it wasn't, it doesn't have a value. The value should be right here in between. Okay. I don't know what I was using, but I would have sworn that I made that worked like that with the value. But anyway, so you can see the value of each individual post here. If I edit this one, you see that? Everything's working, guys. Great. Okay. Beautiful. So there is one thing that we need to make sure that works as well. And this is going to be a little tricky one. We need to make sure that we pull in the right status. And we're going to have to deal with some helpers functions to help us with this. And we need to do a little workaround, allow comments in comments too. So with comments, we can do it right now. The status, we have to do it in another lecture. So just because it's going to take probably 1 or 2 lectures to do it. So let's play around with the status. Remember that these checkbox here, that the data that we're getting from our database is a Boolean value. Okay. So there is a property, an attribute called checked, that if I do this, checked equals checked, automatically that checkbox is going to be checked. I'm going to refresh and you can see that it's checked there. I'm getting tired of this little thing there, of that being outside. I'm going to fix it. Okay. But just know that that's what it is. You see that? That's just outside of. I'll fix it in the next lecture, guys. But just know that that attribute makes that checked automatically. So let's fix this. What we can do with that is take the checked out of there. I'm going to cut that. Here, just cut it. And I'm going to do a if condition here. So I'm just going to say if, and this is how you do it with handlebars. Remember that we do the pound and then the name of what we want. So this is an if. So if the post allow comments is there, that means it's checked, right? So if that's there, then we do the checking. Okay. Then we do checked. And we need to end that. Let's just do here, paste that in there. And then we just end the if statement here. Oops. So now if the post comments, if the allow comments is true, is there, right? Then we are going to be making sure that that checkbox is checked. Now it's very simple. If we go to any of the posts that we have created and it is false here, we won't see it here. I don't know if you see that. We're going to fix that CSS in a minute. You see it's not checked. So now if I go back to all the posts again and I click on one that's checked, you can see that that's checked there. Okay. The next post or next video, we're going to fix that CSS. It's just annoying me right now. Sorry about that, guys. It's just something that I was not planning on putting there like that. Anyway, so that's working. We are also going to be working on the status, because this is just going to be a little tricky to bring down from the database, making sure that the right one is selected. Okay, so you can see here, if we go to post real quick, this is private, and when we edit this, you can see that it shows public here. It should be showing private. But anyway, thank you so much, guys, for watching. I hope you guys are having a lot of fun and learning a lot of new stuff here. Remember why you're doing this and keep going. I see you on the next lecture. Welcome, my dear students. These lectures that are coming up right now are going to be awesome. They're going to teach you a lot of cool stuff. So get ready. All right. So we are here where we need to start displaying the status, but there is no easy way of doing this. So this is just going to be a little tricky, especially to do it with a template engine. So we are going to have to create a helper function in a helpers in this directory here for handlebars. Handlebars allows us to have helper functions that we can output using these curly brackets. So you see that they do have this built-in functions like if, okay? These are built-in functions, but we can build our own ones, our own functions as well, okay? We don't want to have to do if this, if that like a million times here to display something. So we're going to create these helper functions. Let's go and create this file. I'm going to call this, and this is going to be a JavaScript file. Let's call this handlebars and handle helpers. Okay, .js. That's what we're gonna call it. Okay, and this is just gonna go ahead and export whatever we do here. So we can do this something like this at the top and export a big object like that and just fill it in with properties. Okay, and this is how we do it. And we're gonna have a function called select here. Okay, right now we're not passing any parameters or anything. I just want to show you that this works. I'm going to console log it works, so that way we know that it is working. Okay, so now I just created my function, okay, my helper function for handlebars. Now we need to register this function. So let's go to app.js and we need to start registering our function. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to build, and we don't have to do it, we can do it here after all this, close to the handlebars right here. Okay, let's let's use the structuring from ES6. Okay, and I'm gonna do require, and I want to require that file. Okay, and what was the name of that file? Helpers. Let's see, helpers, and then handlebars helpers. There we go. Now if we use the structuring, which I cover in my ES6 free course, okay, we can bring the select from there function. Super simple. Okay, remember that we are exporting that out. Everything that we put in this, we are exporting it out, so we have access to that. Okay, so let's go back. We're not done yet. So now that we have it out, it's time for us to register this. So now we need to go and find out where our, oh, right here, express handlebars, where the engine function is. Here we can pass another parameter. We already have a default layout parameter. Let's pass another parameter which has to do with helpers. I'm not making these fields up. This is something that's built in already. And now this is going to be an object, and the object is just going to be select. We can name it whatever we want, and the value is going to be select from here. You see, from here. So here we can name it whatever we want. This is the name that is going to use in the handlebars section here. Okay, so if I go select hand, I will have to go to here to use it and do select hand here. Okay, I just want to name it the same. So now in order for us to play around with that, let's go back here, and I'm just gonna put it anywhere right here, two curly brackets, and I'm just gonna do select. Okay, like that, pound select actually, and whatever parameter there, I don't care, let's just put whatever. It should work outside of, let's just make sure we close it though. Select, there we go. Now let's refresh and let's check our console. I do Command Alt J in my case, and hold on, let me see something. There we go, works. You see that? So now let's go back to our handlebar helpers, my finders. Anyway, so you see that we're getting this right here works. It's because our handlebars helper function is working. Okay, pretty cool stuff, right? So that's the first part. Now if we have parameters, we got to go back here and pass the parameters here. For example, parameter 1, we go to edit, we go param 1 here, right? Or let's just say D, right? And then let's go to that, and we're just gonna say param 1 here, and let's see what that consoles. Let's see, let's refresh, let's go back here, oops, and you can see D there. Okay, you see how that works? So a space and then the next value will be a parameter, and that's how you play around with it. On the next lecture, we're going to finish this off, and I just wanted to make sure that you know how functions in handlebars, how helper functions can be created and registered and used, right? Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next lecture, guys. Welcome back, my dear students. So in the last lecture, I was able to explain to you how the handlebars function or helper functions work. We register one, we made it work, we have fun. Now it's time for us to start really using it. Okay, so let's go here, and what I want to do is I want to pass in some parameters to this function. Now I know you're going to get a little confused on this section, and I expect you to, just because I'm going to be using a regular expression function piece of code that I'm not going to say I originally created this, but I saw this online some time ago, and it just got stuck to my mind. Okay, but anyway, so we're going to be getting a parameter here. It's going to be, let's actually go to the edit handlebars real quick here, and the only parameter that we're going to be passing here is the post status. Okay, I want to pass that, and that's just going to be the post status of this specific post, or whatever specific post is in here. Remember that we're getting this from an ID on the URL, right? So let's come back here, and we are going to say, well, the post status is going to be coming here, so it's going to be whatever it's here. That's going to be that first parameter there. Okay, so then we have the options, which is going to be let me explain something to you. In between this select, whatever's in between these curly brackets, we can access, okay, via handlebars. Handlebars is going to offer us some methods that we are able to use to access whatever is inside here, and whatever is going to be inside there is going to be the options. Okay, so we can place this outside of the select. As a matter of fact, we can, let's go and do it right now. Take that out, and right there, There are a couple different ways of doing this online, but I like this option way better. Okay. So basically what we're going to be doing is we are going to be taking in that post status. We're going to be doing something behind the scenes to detect that that's a post status that is supposed to be in one of these. And then we are going to be adding dynamically a selected attribute. Okay. For example, let's say the select is right here. Like that. Oops. That selected is just going to make public selected all the time. Okay. So that's what we're going to be doing. Let's go back to, if you put selected there, you're always going to have that field selected, but we want to dynamically put that selected. So here we got that post status here. And now we need to return some data. That's how we work with these functions. We return data. All right, so return, and we're gonna grab options dfn. This is the functions that I'm talking about. This will return, okay, the anything in between here. That's the data that we're dealing with, okay? And that should be this, like that. You can echo it if you want, and you can see it, okay? But I'm just telling you that that's what it is. And here we're just going to change a replace method. And inside this replace, we are going to be replacing the data here and dynamically being outputted. But we are going to be using a little bit more functionality there. We're going to be using a regular expressions. And now I don't expect you to know this, and I'm not going to go into details about regular expressions just because it's just another course. As a matter of fact, I do have a course on regular expressions, okay? So we're going to pass the first parameter of this. We're going to be replacing the value. When we find that, let's escape that real quick, and then we're going to concatenate the status like this. And that should do it. We are just escaping those quotes there. Let me see. Select post status. We're gonna be dynamically outputting this, okay? And a second parameter is the most confusing part. This, just know that this, the $, the ampersand means match the last one, okay? If I do it like this, let's see what we get back there. Okay, let's refresh. Oops, regular expression is not defined. Let me double check that. Reg. Oh, it's reg. Sorry about that. Let's refresh. Okay. And as you can see, we only got public and draft. Let me show you something. If we go back to edit that handlebars, we are only displaying the status, okay, and one more. We're not displaying public, private, and draft. We are forgetting one. We are missing one of these. So let's go back here. If we include this last field, now this data, let me go back to that, I'm sorry. This data that you're seeing in the form is being dynamically outputted right now. This is not the data that's, whatchamacallit, the static data we have here usually. Let me see if I can show you. Oppose, and this is a private one. Edit, public, and draft. Those are only two data, so you're going to see that. And the reason why you're going to see draft is because that's the data that's available to us for that specific post. Let's go back here again. Public, well, this one, private, and draft. See that? Private and draft. And when you have private here, private is not there. So we're not matching it. So let's go back here. And now the second parameter here should be, let's just put it right here, the last match. And again, this has to do with regular expressions. What is it? $, ampersand. There we go. And select it. and let's do double quotes here, selected. Let's see, refresh. You got to refresh a couple of times sometimes. Okay, so you see that's actually matching there now. Let's come back here. We see that that's public. We edit this, and you can see that that's public there, and then we got private and giraffe. And when you see the little arrow here, it's selected. Let's go back to that private one here, and now you can see that private is selected. You see that? So we got that working. Cool stuff, right? Okay. So again, here all we're doing is returning back all the options, again, dynamically, but at the same time, we are replacing it. Okay, we are putting the selected, the post status, okay, as the selected value. Okay, we are inserting all this back to here. So we are replacing all this data and returning this. Simple as that. Don't overthink it. If you want some regular expression classes, I have a regular expression course, which is pretty good, I think. Okay, so in the next lecture, we're going to continue with this, and we need to go ahead and update data already because we are doing good. So far, we have everything we want, right? Cool. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next lecture. Welcome back, my dear students. So I know I told you that I was going to fix this little thing right here, and some of you probably already fixed it, but I just found my mistake, and it was that I forgot to add a class to my label. So in this label input here in line 25 from the edit.handlebars, I'm going to add a class called form check label. Okay, and that should help with that. And I'm going to go back to create as well, and I'm going to add the class right here. Okay, so that should help it refresh, and as you can see, it does help. Okay, it was an easy fix, nothing big. So now it's time for us to start trying to edit some of this data. So let's go back to our edit, and we are going to be submitting. We could, if we wanted to, submit a post request and, you know, insert, update the data if we wanted to. All we have to do is get the URL from the parameter from the URL and call our Mongoose methods and update it. But we're not going to do that. We want to follow best practices. We want to follow convention. We want to follow the verbs, the read, update, delete. So we want to find the, I'm sorry, we want to follow the put, the post, the delete, and all that. Okay, it's just best practice to do that. So just because we can't, as of yet, I'm recording this, we can't just say put here because it doesn't work. We need to find another way. So let's go to app.js, and we're going to download a module. Let's do Control C to kill our server. Okay, and there's a module that's very famous. It's called what was the name? It was method override. Okay, you can look it up. As a matter of fact, a lot of people recommend it. So npm installed method override, just like that. Okay, and in app.js, we are going to be using this, so we need to pass it to a middleware here, but first we need to include it. So method override, let's make sure that we're spelling this correctly here, and we are requiring this guy. All right, I'm gonna copy this, and now what we need to do is do method app use not here. App.use like this. And then inside this function here, we need to pass in what is going to be the parameter. So it's going to be method. We're going to expect something with this name here. Okay, simple as that. And now we got to go back to here and we need to start using it. Now back in the day, you needed to put like a hidden input. I don't think that's the case anymore. I don't use the hidden input anymore to pass it in. I can just use it right here. So pay attention. Right here, we are going to pass the ID. So we're going to say post.id. And then following that, we put a question mark here because we're going to be passing this parameter, which is a parameter we had in the app.js. Remember the method? And the value, we're going to make it put like that. Simple as that. So now our put request is going to work. Okay, let's check it out to see. So let's go to our routes, admin posts. We don't have a put request yet. Let me see. No, we haven't got to that yet. All right. So now here, router.put. And it's going to be admin post edit. But remember, this is a put request, so it's different. Okay. So you can name it the same. As a matter of fact, we don't need all this stuff. Okay. We don't even need to have the edit there, but I'm just going to do it anyway. Let's go back here real quick. Edit. Yeah, that's what we got. Excuse me. Requests and response. No. All right. And let's just do send. It works. Okay, let's check it out. I'm gonna refresh. I'm gonna do this like Command R a couple of times. It looks like my server's crashing. Let's see what happened here. Oh, I don't have it. It's now on. So Gnomon app. Enter. Let's check it out now. Refresh a couple of times. Submit. Cannot put. Huh. Okay, method override. So much for using you. What's going on? Let's go back here. Back. Okay, let's check this out. Let's go back to the edit and let's see admin post edit and then the ID and method put. Edit ID. Oh, of course. There we go. Silly mistake. Silly mistake. Sorry about that. The colon needs to be on the other side, right? Submit, and now it works. You see? Now we got put request working. Good stuff, guys. So in the next lecture, we're going to continue by making this hopefully worked. Thank you, and I'll see you on the next lecture, guys. You're doing good. You're doing good. Come on. Let's do it. Welcome back, my dear students. Let's do it. All right. So we are here where we are just testing our put request, right? To see if it works. And now it's time for us to start building, okay, our put request here. So what is it that we want to do? Well, we are going to get a ID in the URL. So we have that ID that we can use to make a query to our database and find that specific post. Then once we find it, we need to update it. So that's exactly what we're going to do. I'm going to take it from this get request here in the edit page, and I'm just going to paste it in here because we're going to use the same thing. Okay. So once I find that post, okay, I have the post right here. I want to be able to grab the post title, which is coming from here, from the inside the database, and update it with the new request body, right? That's coming from the form, because we got one coming from the form and one that it's already in the database. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing with all the fields. But before we do that, there's something that I need to do. Okay. Remember that we have this allow comments fields here that we're creating. So we got to make sure that these fields are created like this, because we don't want to make any mistakes. Okay, remember that we are converting that allow comments from the string version into the Boolean version. Okay, so we're gonna first check to see if it's coming from the form. If it's there in the form, we're gonna make them true. If it's not there, we're gonna make it false. That way we have it. So now let's start with these fields. I'm gonna paste this a couple times here. Let's come back here. I wish my IDE wasn't this troublesome sometimes. And the reason why it's doing that is because I'm putting, this is not an object. You get so used to writing in objects that you do that. And it's back here. It's not going to give me that issue anymore. There we go. You see? Okay. So we got the title. What else we need? We need the status. We need the allow comments. And we need the body. Right? So status. Allow comments. And the body. I think that should work. Let me just make this a little smaller here. We don't need to, you already know what this is doing. So they're telling my IDE is telling me that this could be simplified by doing like a ternary type of piece of code. And if you click on more, it should tell you that. That's what it suggests I do. No biggie on that. Okay, so once we have this, let's make sure that these are all the right fields. We could have copied this from here. Okay, but that's fine. Body, status, allow comments, and body. This should do it. Once we have this, we need to save it. So we're going to grab the post and we're going to use a method that Mongoose provides called save. This is not going to save unless we use the then. Okay. And then here we have the saved post or updated post response, right? And once that's updated, then we can just redirect back. Response and this method here, redirect, is really useful. And we're gonna redirect to admin posts. Okay, I think that should do it, guys. I think we should test this out to see if it works. Let's tighten this up a little bit. Let's see. All right, cross your fingers and let's check it out. First post SSS, submit. Uh-oh, it looks like it's working. Edit, SSSSSS, submit. Oh, I love when things work like that, right? You know, I love mistakes. I love to do mistakes and fix them up in front of you so you learn more. But sometimes it's nice to make things work right away, right? So it looks like this is working. Let me check this. Make sure it's private. I'm gonna take that off. False. Let's make it private. Private. Let's make this allow comments. It should be true now. Nice. And let's take out all the S's out. Look at that. So we got the create, we got the read, and we got the update complete. Now the next one should be the delete. So create, read update. And now we are going to delete on the next lectures. Thank you so much, guys. It's been a pleasure. If you have any issues, post it in the discussion and we should help you fix it, okay? Don't worry if you got frustrated. Drink a little coffee, a little orange juice, and it should be better, okay? I'll see you in the next lecture, guys. Take care. Welcome, my dear students. So you guys ready? All right. So on this lecture, we are going to be deleting. So we're going to go to where we have our post and we're going to create a link here that is going to allow us to delete this data. Okay. So let's do that. Let's go to the index in the views post and let's create a link here. Well, what I want to do is I want to create a form actually. Send this a little better, and this form is going to go to admin posts and we are going to give it the ID of that specific post. Remember, this ID is provided to us in this loop right here. Okay, and this form original method is going to be method post, right? But since we're using override, we can come here and say, well, I want you to follow best practices and use this verb delete. Okay, simple as that. Now let's create the input here of, it doesn't have to be an input, it could be a button like this button with a type submit. Okay, let's create a class for you as well. Let's call this btn danger and delete. Let's see, refresh, and there we go, we got this delete. Now we need to build the route for this, so let's go to the routes admin posts, and down here is where we're gonna build this. So it's called delete, and it's just gonna take the ID of the post. So / ID, we are gonna get the requests and the response as always. And now I want you to think a little bit on how you think we're gonna accomplish this. We are going to use this guy right here. You got it. We're gonna use post. Well, we always use this because that's our model. Our model has methods, right? But we are going to change it up a little bit. We're gonna use the remove function. We are gonna pass in the underscore ID, which is the ID located in the database. Remember that MongoDB has these ID fields. This ID is created automatically for us every time we insert data. So we have that in the database for every little data that every entry. Okay, and then params, the ID, that's what we get on the URL. Then let's just do it in another line, guys. Keep it nice. And we're gonna get a result here, and then we can just redirect. Where are we going to redirect? Well, we are deleting it, so let's go to admin posts. Okay, all right, let's refresh a couple times. Command R, Control R. Let's delete this guy. Oops, cannot read property ID. In line 127. Oh, I misspelled this. There we go. Let's go back here. Refresh, delete. There we go. As you can see, it's deleted. See that? Beautiful. So we got it to delete. Pretty nice, pretty neat feature, right? So we got everything that we can possibly want. We have the create, we have the read, we have the update, and we have the delete. We have the CRUD. Now it's time for us to start adding features. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next lectures. Welcome back, my dear students. So it's time for us to start scaling this a little bit, making it more fun, okay? So I want to be able to insert unlimited amount of data, not unlimited, but I want to be able to insert, let's say 100, 200 records, so that way I can test out my application a little bit better. Not only test it, but I want to be able to have a whole bunch of different posts here, so that way I can show it in my front page as well. And I will also like to have maybe a navigation, right? Because if we have so many different posts, 100, 200, you have to scroll all the way down to see all of them. That is annoying. So what I want to do is I want to create some fake data. And for that, we could go and get, and we can, and we are going to create a npm use a module called Faker. This is something I use in Laravel, okay, PHP framework, which I have a course on it. This is a pretty cool one. This is a lowercase. There is a uppercase one that I haven't used, but this lowercase Faker has a whole bunch of little cool things that we can use. You see, this is some of the methods, and randomly creates data. We just use the methods. So I'm just looking to see what we can use from here. There's a bunch of little, we can use the email from the internet or the URL, IP. So Lorem Ipsum, we're probably gonna use this. Okay. Let's see what we can use from there. So let's go and start using it. Let's download it real quick. And let's do Control-C and clear. npm installed Faker. Okay. And let's see if I remember how to use this. There's a bunch of documentation there if you want to use it, guys. So what I want to do, and this is going to be, funny, in this route here that we're showing admin index, I want to, in this view, I want to create some type of form that I can generate data. So let's go inside the admin index here, and I want to create a row with a form. This form is going to have an input inside with a class of form control. Make sure, let's put this in a form group. This is improvising, guys. And type, let's make it a number. What I want to do is I want to have this field that I pass a number to, and it's going to create whatever we want. For example, if we want to create posts, it's just going to create posts for us. Okay. So create posts. And I'm just going to pass this to something in admins on top of, I don't know, generate fake posts or something like that. Let's call that. And it's going to be a method of post. And that's it. So we need there. Let's see how that looks. Let's go to admin real quick. Oops, application is crashing. Oh, it's not on. Nullmon app. Turn that on. And of course we need an input, a button here. Let's just create one real quick as well. type button and create or something like that. Okay, so not a lot to see here, but I just want to go ahead and create, and let's say I want to create 100 posts and create. That's it. It doesn't need to be pretty, okay? It's just basically creating some type of fake data. I don't like the way that post looks there. So let's just make it, let's see if it works good here. Yeah, that's a little better. Okay, so we can need to create this route. Let's go to this route right here in admin index, and let's say get is actually a post. All right, like that. We got the request and response. Here we need to write some type of loop here, so that way we can create all this fake data. Okay, so let's use on JavaScript and say, well, I want a for loop, and let's just do it like that. Let's have a variable here with an index of 0, and as long as I is equal to, I don't know, let's actually pass that amount in the, we're passing that amount in the input. We can, if we wanted to, body amount. So let's go back to our index, and let's just name this, let's give it a name attribute value of amount. So that way when we insert that, we can dynamically create this. Okay, and we increment I a couple of times. Okay, and it's not a, it's a semicolon there. Good. Okay, so inside this loop here, we are going to be creating, doing stuff as long as this amount is smaller than I. Let's create some type of variable here to hold the post, and from here we can create a new post. Now we need to require this model actually. Okay, so let's go up here and require the model. Const user require. Oops. It's one more, and it's the post model. Okay. So now we could do the same thing we used to do before, and insert everything inside here, like, okay. Or we could, if we wanted to, create a variable, call it post, and instantiate that. Okay, and now we can just do it the old-fashioned way and do post dot title equals whatever comes from Faker. Now we start to use Faker here, but we need to require if we don't have it. Okay, so let's require Faker up here. Faker require like that. Okay, great. And the way we're going to do this is by doing this Faker dot, and we are going to choose, let me see if I have it here, from one of these data or properties and methods that we have here to create that random data for Faker. And we're going to finish it off on the next lecture. Okay, so if you want to go ahead and choose Okay, so the way you would choose this is, right, let's say for example you want to choose a date. Okay, so you say faker date, you see the date, and then you choose one of these, and then that passed like that. Okay, so in the next lecture we'll finish it off, and hopefully we are creating some random data without any problems. Thank you so much, guys. It's been a pleasure. I see you in the next one. Keep it up. Welcome back, my dear students. So on the last lecture I told you to go ahead and try to see if you were able to do this. If you did not do it, that's okay. We're going to do it on this lecture. Okay, we're going to finish it off. So we know that we need the post title status, and I'm just gonna just put this placeholder there for now. I just want to make sure that we got the right fields here. So we have the body. What else we need? Faker. Let's go back here. I always forget. We got the title, the status, allow comments. Allow comments is going to be post. Allow comments. This is either true or false here. What else we got? And the body. And that's actually the last one. Okay, so let's go ahead and try to see if we can find some random stuff to put in there. So we got the title, the status, allow comments, and body. Okay, so let's see if we can find something for the title. Let's go to, where is it? There we go. Let's see, I'm gonna do Command F to look for title here, and it says name and title. Let's do another. I'm gonna take this out here. That's all the title that I can find. So name title, let's try that. Okay, so name title, like that. Now we need a status, and the status is either going to be, let's go back here, public, private, or giraffe. One of these random data. Okay, for now we're just gonna make them all public. Okay, so I haven't used that here, to be honest with you. I think there is a method that you can use called random, and you can random words right here, and you can use it, but I never have used it yet, so I need to actually kind of look that up. But there are other helpers and stuff that you can use here. Okay, but anyway, I'm just gonna make them all public because I want to show them in the front page, so I really don't care about that. I wanted to show you how this is done though. Okay, how we can make so much data or fake data. And null or true. So let's see if we can find a Boolean value. Random Boolean right here. Random Boolean right there. So we're gonna say faker random Boolean like that. And the body could be like sentences or something like that. Let's see, a sentence, if they have a sentence there. Lorem sentence or sentences. Sentence. There we go. Okay, I think we're done creating that. Make sure you put a semicolon there. Sometimes I don't use it. I write in different languages, programming languages, and sometimes I don't put my semicolon in languages. So now that we have this, it's time for us to save it. So let's go ahead and save that data. It's not user, it's post that save like this, and we can use the promise. Okay, and we really don't want to do anything there, right? We could redirect to that same page. We don't have we do have the rest right here. Let's just redirect right here, and we're just going to redirect to admin. Okay, so this should do the trick here. We could write a message and tell us all posts are safe, but we don't need to do that. I think we're good to go. Let's see. Let's make sure that the form comes here. So in this index, that should be it. Let's see if this works. And if it doesn't, we'll figure it out. All right. Let's go back to our application. Let's refresh. And let's say we want 20 posts. Let's do create. And let's go to all posts. And right here. What in the world? Nope. There's nothing there. Let's go back. 20. Let's come back here real quick. This form is not really doing it for us. I'm forgetting something here really important. Let's go back to the routes. Let's go here, right here. Oh, our form, let's go back here. Our form is not really going anywhere. It's supposed to go to admin at generate. Okay. And let me see if I'm forgetting something else here. I had a feeling that I was forgetting something, but there we go. Oh, I want it to take me to all the posts. So that's what I want to do. Okay. Let's go and redirect to all posts. Okay. Let's refresh here. And 20, I think I already created 20. Oh, what happened there? It's not working. Admin method posts. This form is already inside admin. Why don't we check this form first to see if it's actually submitting, right? So let's go to the routes index, and let's do console here. I never checked this. Let's use res.send. It works. I've been coding for some time now, guys. I don't know if you saw the time there. So generate posts. Let's see. Okay, this form is obviously not working, and we are inside admin, and it's supposed to be sending a post request here. Let's go back to the form is not submitting to where it's supposed to be. Of course. Sorry about that, guys. It's called submit, not button. All right. There we go. That's what happens when you code a lot. And I'm not editing this video, so for those of you that are picky, chill out. Okay, and let's come back here. Let's see now if we make this work. So 20, create, post is not defined. That's in 33, index 33. Post is not defined. Oh, of course not. All right, I'm going to sleep after this one. All right, I'm definitely going to sleep, guys. Let's do this. 20. We're supposed to have 20 posts here, not one. So let's try this again. Okay. 30. What is it doing? 3? It's doing 3 at a time? Yeah. Why is that? Amount. What's going on with my form? Okay, let's 20. My form is not working 100% for some reason. Okay, let's just do this. Is just gonna be type text. Let's see what it does. 20. Enter. It's not getting all the numbers for some reason. Let's go back to the routes again, and let's inspect this a little bit more. Okay, so amount, we are incrementing it. I mean, I'm not doing anything wrong here. Let's use let's use this the old-fashioned way, and let's see if that's a problem. Some of this is, I don't think promises work with whatchamacallit, with this. To be honest, I don't think promises work with Faker. I don't know if it supports. So let's just do if error. Then we're just gonna throw the error here. There we go. And then let's just redirect down here. We're gonna redirect anyway. Okay, let's play around with it now. Oops, there we go. Let's do 20 posts, create. Yep, I think that works. Let's delete a couple of them. Maybe, let's see. It would be nice to have a multi-delete functionality, right? So let's go ahead and create 100. Yeah, it's working now. Yep. So that was the issue there, promises. So we need to do it this way. Okay, perfect. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, guys. I'm sorry about the hiccups here, but hopefully some of you can appreciate it. Just in case you encounter this issue, now you know what works and what doesn't, just because I already had the problem. But if you look at it, we're getting random titles for a post, random statuses, allow comments, Boolean values. It would be nice if we get the random this. I'm pretty sure there is a method there that you can use. Just look it up if you want. And but I'm gonna do all mines probably because we want to show some of this data here on the front page. Okay, so we almost get into that. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next lecture.